Hi everyone, my name is Rishabh Tarve and I'm a student of Function Up School of Technology. I am in the second semester of my college, and today um, in the second semester we are learning DSA in Java programming languages, and Java programming language we are learning DSA through LeetCode platform and practicing my problems through LeetCode. So today I was going through the LeetCode problem number 209, and the heading for the question is minimum size subarray sum. So while going through the question, I have encountered a approach for this problem, which I wanted to share with you all. So let's understand this with the help of example and the description of the question. We will solve along. So by the heading of the question, we get to know that in this question, you have to find a minimum length of a subarray whose sum is greater than or equal to target. How I'm saying all this? Because the description of the question says, so let's understand what I'm saying, and you can clearly see the medium of the question, or the difficulty level will be medium in case of LeetCode, and the topics covered from this question will be arrays, binary search, sliding window, and prefix sum. So in the description of the question, it has been given an array of positive integers num and a positive integer target. So there is have been given two input have been given to us, positive integer nums, which is an array, and a target integer in the data type integer have been given as target. You have to return the minimum length of a subarray whose sum is greater than or equal to target. So in this, you have to clearly return a minimum length of a subarray whose sum is greater than or equal to target. So the next line, what it says, let's understand what's in subarray in case of array. Here you can see an array has been given, and the name of the array is nums. So talking about subarray, any of the elements, the part of some of the elements consisting without jumping over the other element or leaving any of the elements between them is called a subarray. So 2 and 3 can be subarray. Only 2 can also be subarray. 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 3, all the numbers can be subarray. But you can't say that you will take 2, 1, and 2 and leave behind 3. So this can't be possible because subarray is a kind of contiguous meaning. So in this question, what's the you have to return the minimum length of a subarray which sum is greater than or equal to target. So the two input which you have been given, you have to find a length of a subarray, and that has the sum greater than or equal to, and it should be in the minimum length. Also, the description of the question says if there is no such subarray, you have to return 0 instead. So and in the last line, the question says if no such subarray is found, or no elements sum or add up to greater than or equal to target, you can clearly return 0. So let's understand with the help of the example which have been given to us. In the example, first it have been given to us the target as the integer 7 and the nums array consisting of 5 elements, 6 elements, which are 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, and 3. So in this question, according to the question, when we follow along the description, in this question, you have to find a window or a specific elements or a subarray, a specific subarray, which has the minimum length and the sum of that subarray greater than or equal to target. So it should be 7, or the sum of that subarray will be greater than 7. So the output have been given to how. So explanation have been given. The subarray 4 and 3 has the minimum length under the problem constraint. So why 4 and 3 subarrays can be only the possible way for this? Because when you will come up with the solution that these 4 numbers can also add up to 8. I mean 7, because 2, 3, 5, 5, and 6, 6 and 2, 8. So these 4 elements also add up to and greater than the targeted value, but the length of the subarray is 4. So this can't be possible. You have to find the subarray that has a minimum length. When you will get to through this these two elements inside the array, these two also adding up to 7, and it has the minimum length that has been explained according to the problem constraint. So this is our output, that the minimum length which is defining our subarray and has the sum as greater than or equal to target. So the value is 2. Now coming on to the example 2, input has been given as 1, 4, and 4 nums, and target is 4. So In this question, this makes us easy because the elements inside them is 4 and the targeted value is also 4. So we only need one element from them. So the output can only possibility can be 1. You don't need to add any of the elements in that subarray. Similarly, in the example 3, the target is 11 and the number of elements inside the array is 8. So there can be no possible subarray which can add up to 11. So in this scenario, you can clearly return 0. In this question, we have to find out a solution that came out with a big O n time complexity. So now let's understand how we're gonna solve this problem. We will start with by using a few pointers and a few variables which will store our value, and pointers which will help us in iterating the value and keeping the records within the window or the let's say how much you have iterated and how much you are storing into the sum. So let's understand the question by the approach which I have came up with. So the approach that I came up with, at first I will initialize a variable minimum length. And why given the name of my variable as minimum length? Because this is the main variable which we will return to check whether my code is working or not. So this will be returned. Now I want to assign it with the value of integer.max value. So in this variable, I have assigned the value of minimum length to integer.max value. Why? Because the maximum number that can be possible, because you can clearly see the return. The return data type for this question is integer, and the maximum range for the integer is its max value, or the maximum range that can be possible. Maximum number that can be possible in this range is dot max value. So any of the length in this can be less than or equal to that length. It can't exceed that number. So we have assigned that biggest number to my variable minimum length. Now I have talked about I will take few pointers. So the pointers that I wanted to take as the left and right. Let's say right, we will take it in the next scenario when we will iterate our loop. So the two variables that I have assigned, and the left pointer and my variable sum. So the left pointer, what it will does, it will start with the 0 index and start with the 0 index, or let's say I've initialized the value with 0. Then what it will does, it will start iterating from the first element of that array, and my sum at first we have initialized with 0. So one by one, when my pointer will get passed to the next index, it will store my index value inside that. Now after this, we will iterate the array. So how we going to do that? We will simply use the variable which we have initialized in the initialization as right, and given the value of my right variable as 0, then the condition that I have passed to right, that it should not exceed the length of my nums array. Also, every time our right should increment. Now we have started our loop. Now what we going to do, we have initialized it with the right pointer, we have also initialized with the left pointer, and all of them will start from the 0 index. Now nums right. Here we have passed the condition that our loop from starts with 0. So when it will start with 0, my sum has been initialized with 0. Then sum will add with the nums 0, nums right. So right is currently at 0 index. So it will get the value of 0 index and it will add it to the sum. Now my sum is getting to update. Now we will check, because we have a constant that we have to find the minimum length. How we going to find the minimum length? We will check our condition with the sum is greater equal to target. If my sum is greater equal to target, what we will clearly do, we will check for the minimum length, which we have initialized with the integer dot max value. We will check for max dot min if my minimum length is minimum right minus left plus 1. So in this condition, what's going to happen clearly that you have seen that we have started with 0 and sum is being updated with the first index or first value of my array, and the sum is containing only the one element inside that. Now it will check for the condition whether my sum is greater or equal to target. If yes, if this condition will be true, then we will find the minimum length. How we will find the minimum length? We will use the math.min formula, which will give us the minimum value. And inside the parameter, we have passed minimum length and right minus left plus 1. So why right minus left plus 1? Because only by this we have pointers inside our array and which are pointing to the first index currently. So when we will start iterating, my right index will be somewhere at the 1 index or maybe at 2 at the third index, and left pointer is still at 0 index. So to find the minimum length, because it is a 0 index, you have to add plus 1 with at last when you will want to find the minimum length, because as we all know, Java is the array is a 0 indexed by default. So to find the length, you have to right minus left plus 1. This is the basics to find the length when you are working with arrays. Now, what we will do, we will, if this condition will be true, then we want that the minimum length should get stored, and we will check for if any of the other sub-array can be possible. So to find that, we will move our left pointer and execute it one more time. So in this condition, what's going to happen? Clearly, my left pointer will get updated, and left pointer will uh, uh, point to my first index, and our first index will be the uh, current index for my left pointer. Then we will check for at last what we will check for will return minimum length not equal to integer dot max value by using the ternary operator. We will return minimum length else 0. So the test cases have been passed. Now let's understand how my code is working. So my code is working in that scenario that when we are pointing towards left and right pointers which we have initialized, when right pointer will point at some of, let's say at the third index, and left pointer is at 0, this add up to 7. But the minimum length can be any other window. There can be possibility that any other window will target to the will store the sum greater or equal to target. So in that scenario, what we are going to do, we will move our pointer left to plus 1. So there can be possibility that in the third example, which I have explained to you, there can be possibility that and none of the sub-array is possible in this scenario, which add up to 11. So we will check with the condition that we have started our minimum length, initialized it to integer dot max value. If this condition will be, if this has not been updated any of the time, the minimum length is not greater equal to not updated, then in that scenario, we will simply return 0. If this condition will be true, if it has been updated, then we will return minimum length. So in this way, our code is working. So, and this is the approach that I have followed, and the space complexity in this problem is bigger one, because not due to the size of the input size, we are taking the value, and the space complexity in this scenario will be big O1, and the time complexity will be big O log n, because we are iterating through the loop only once, and at most cases one element will be accessed twice. So time complexity will be big O log n, and space complexity is big O1. And let's try to submit the code. So all the test cases have been passed, and this was the approach that I have followed, and result have been shown to you. So that's all for this question. Thank you.